It's 1442 local time, October 25, 2025. In the Taiwan Strait, the USS Higgins suddenly picks up a fast-moving radar contact closing at 29 knots. Bridge alarms scream. Sailors sprint to stations, boots hammering steel decks. On the scopes, a gray wall cuts across their path, a Chinese Type 52D destroyer just 150 yards off the bow. For a heartbeat, nobody breathes. The Chinese ship angles harder, slicing in front of Higgins. Its Type 346 amperes array spikes, target lock confirmed. Consoles glow red. Maintain bearing. Record everything, the officer says, voice steady. Overhead, an MH-60R Seahawk claws into the air, camera rolling, data link live. The destroyer's wake boils white. Higgins holds course, guns safe but manned. SLQ-32 listening. Radio stays cold until a sovereignty warning snaps through in clipped Mandarin. Higgins replies with a calm call on international law and innocent passage. Two steel giants, one narrow channel. One shove, one scrape, and the Pacific could light up. The Taiwan Strait just 100 miles wide, yet every inch of it holds the world's nerves. Dozens of cargo ships cross here every day, carrying chips, oil, and goods that keep the global economy alive. The USS Higgins isn't just patrolling, it's standing guard over that lifeline, enforcing freedom of navigation that underpins everything from trade routes to digital supply chains. Across the waves, China claims the same waters as its own territory. Their destroyers shadow US ships, cutting dangerously close, daring them to flinch first. It's not open war, it's the gray zone, where every move is a message, and every second of hesitation can rewrite global balance. For the American crew, this mission isn't symbolic. A collision here wouldn't just sink steel, it could sink stability from Tokyo to Washington. Every sailor knows that cameras and radar logs will become more than evidence. They're weapons in the battle of narrative. That's why the MH-60R circles above, filming every second, proof against denial and propaganda. In Beijing's playbook, near misses are tools, each one a test of American restraint. In Washington's, they're red lines drawn at sea. Both sides claim calm, but each wave carries the weight of history. Below deck, the AEGIS baseline 10 picture tightens. The new Spy-6 arrays sort every return, filtering clutter from threat. The SLQ-32 V7 listens for hostile targeting spikes, hard proof if anyone later says, "It never happened." Now the distance shrinks again. The Chinese ship edges closer, its bow cutting through wake thrown by Higgins. On the bridge, orders are calm, clipped, and unshaken. Steady, hold course. The crew obeys, knowing the world is watching through that camera feed. If you were in command, would you hold steady or push back? Press 1 for restraint, press 9 for retaliation. 1446 hours. 4 minutes since the first radar lock. The USS Higgins holds course at 20 knots, slicing through choppy gray water. The Type 52D now looms barely 150 yards away. Too close for comfort, too close for error. The Combat Information Center buzzes. The SPY-6 radar paints the destroyer's outline in perfect clarity. No missiles launched, but the Chinese radar beams stay locked, a deliberate act meant to push nerves to the edge. The electronic warfare officer activates SLQ-32 V7, recording the threat frequency. Lock confirmed. Type 346 amperes at full power. Every second, data streams to the Seahawk above, creating an unbroken record. On deck, sailors man the Mk-45 Mod 4 gun, though the barrel stays cold. The order is firm, no escalation. But inside, hearts hammer harder than the engines. The commander keeps his voice steady. They want reaction. We'll give them composure. Then, a sudden turn, the Chinese destroyer accelerates, cutting across Higgins' bow again, even closer this time. The ocean between them boils white. The collision alarm blares. Helm orders, right 10 degrees rudder. The deck tilts as Higgins shifts just enough to avoid impact. Steel screams, water churns, but no contact. The Seahawk's camera captures everything down to the shadow of the Chinese ship passing across Higgins' hull. For a moment, both vessels run parallel, hull to hull, crews staring across open decks, silence on radios, tension thick as fog. From the CIC, an officer mutters, "That was within 150 yards." Another replies, "Closer 125 maybe." The AEGIS console flashes a status alert. Radar interference detected? Likely jamming. Higgins counters by boosting frequency agility, a silent move that restores clarity without confrontation. This is modern warfare without shots, aggression wrapped in precision. Each maneuver is a message, and each second is a gamble. For now, both captains hold the line, testing how far the other will go before something snaps. Above, the Seahawk banks wide, recording the standoff for the Pentagon and for history. Every image tells the story China denies, and every calm response becomes America's statement. Steady, legal, unshaken. The crew exhales, but nobody relaxes, because when ships come this close, even the sea seems ready to explode. 2 hours. The tension hasn't eased, it's evolved. The Type 52D now mirrors every move of the USS Higgins, keeping a near-perfect parallel course. Both destroyers ride the same wave, like boxers circling before the next punch. Inside the Higgins Combat Information Center, screens glow with constant data. Every radar sweep, every engine tone, every electronic pulse from the Chinese ship is cataloged. "They're running ECM patterns," the EWU says quietly, "testing how far they can push our sensors. It's not an attack, but it's close enough to feel like one." The SPY-6 radar holds steady, filtering through the interference. The SLQ-32B7 maps the jamming patterns, identifying the source, the Type 346 amperes Dragon Eye radar, pulsing at full strength. The intent is psychological force the U.S. crew to blink first. On deck, the wind howls, carrying salt, and the low rumble of engines. A few sailors glance across the narrow water, seeing faces on the enemy deck doing the same. It's not hatred, it's calculation. Each side waiting for the other to flinch. The Higgins adjusts speed just 1 knot slower. The Chinese destroyer matches instantly. A digital duel now plays out on radar screens, 1 degree, 1 knot at a time. They're probing response time, the tactical officer mutters. "Document everything." Above, the MH-60R Seahawk hovers at the edge of the cloud line, feeding every second to Pacific Command. In that feed, 2 warships move like predators pretending not to hunt. The crew knows this footage will soon hit every intelligence desk in Washington and every headline that follows. Then, another change. The Chinese destroyer's bow swings slightly inward, crossing closer than before. The CIC alarms again, radar lock, full power. The commander exhales slowly. "No reaction," he says. "Let them see we don't blink." For 60 long seconds, 2 nations hang by the width of a football field. The radar hums, the sea hisses, the crew holds their breath. Somewhere in that silence, the line between deterrence and danger fades. Engineering brings contingency power online, quiet muscle waiting under steel, ready if calm snaps. If you think holding fire here was strength, press 1. If you believe it was weakness, press 9 and let the world know where you stand. 11 hours. The standoff should have cooled, but instead, something shifts. The Type 52D powers down its main radar for a split second. Then, new signals bloom across the screen. Low, fast, unpredictable. Multiple returns, the radar tech says. Not surface, airborne. The CIC fills with yellow alerts. A swarm of unidentified drones streaks across the water, launched from the destroyer's aft deck. "They're testing our reaction window," the commander mutters. The Seahawk's sensor turret pivots toward the formation, recording everything. "Mark each one," he orders. "If they're watching, we'll show control." The drones skim just above the waves, moving too low for missile locks, too erratic for tracking. Each one carries a small radar emitter, bouncing fake signals to confuse the SPY-6 arrays. "They're spoofing our radar classic gray zone play," the EWO notes. "Force us to chase shadows." The SLQ-32V7 begins logging bursts of coded transmissions, short, sharp, military grade. Some appear to be scanning frequencies used by U.S. communications. The crew realizes this isn't random, it's a digital probe disguised as a drone exercise. Then one drone breaks formation, diving toward the ship's bow. The Seahawk tracks it, optical zoom locked. "That one's autonomous," the pilot says. No return signal. It banks within 50 feet of the deck, close enough for sailors to see its red markings. The air shivers with its prop wash before it pulls away, climbing back toward the Chinese destroyer. Everyone understands the message. The weapons may be silent, but the confrontation has entered a new domain: data, control, and willpower. The gray zone isn't just at sea anymore, it's inside the signal itself. 18 hours. The sea is no longer calm, it's coiled. The Type 52D turns sharply, slicing into Higgins' path again, this time at less than 100 yards. The water between them boils white, waves smashing the hull like fists. The alarm sounds across the deck. "Collision alert! Closing distance!" On the bridge, the commander grips the console. "Hold course," he orders. His voice cuts through the chaos like steel. Around him, sailors brace for impact, every muscle tensed. One mistake now, and two nations could trade steel for fire. The SPY-6 radar locks on the Chinese destroyer. The AEGIS baseline 10 cross-checks movement, no missiles, but the targeting beam stays fixed. "They're locking for intimidation," the EWO says. Still, everyone feels the heat in their chests. "Seahawk, reposition!" The helicopter banks low, capturing the moment from above. Two destroyers, bow to bow, seconds from disaster. Below deck, engineers ready, defensive power. The SLQ-32.7 emits a subtle countermeasure ping enough to whisper, "We see you." The Chinese destroyer holds steady, engines roaring. The crew can see sailors across the narrow gap, hands gripping rails, eyes locked back. It's no longer about radar or range, it's about will. Both captains know the next move defines the story the world will tell. "Stand by for evasive," the helmsman says. The commander doesn't blink. "Negative, we hold." Every second stretches like wire pulled to breaking point. The Type 52D edges closer. Then, at the last possible moment, its bow swings away, spraying white water across Higgins' deck. Silence. No cheers. Just the creak of metal and the hiss of the sea. The commander exhales slowly. "Event logged," he says. "Transmit full package." Encrypted data bursts off the mast video. Spectra, bridge audio routed to 7th Fleet and Allied Ops Centers. A brief message follows. "Innocent passage maintained. Unsafe maneuver documented." Far south, a convoy shifts lanes. Proof that restraint still commands oceans. Above the Seahawk, circles once more. Light flashing off steel, two warships that stared down history and blinked just in time. Now it's your turn to choose. Press 1 if that moment was strength under pressure. Press 9 if it was a step too close to war. The near collision lasted seconds, but its echo reached capitals within minutes. By nightfall, statements poured in. Beijing accused the U.S. of provocation inside sovereign waters. Washington replied that its ship operated in full compliance with international law. Both sides claimed calm, yet neither side backed down. On board the USS Higgins, sailors moved quietly through the passageways, the adrenaline fading but not the weight of what nearly happened. Data teams reviewed every frame of Seahawk footage, every radar sweep, every log entry, proof that the U.S. ship never swerved first. The record itself had become a weapon, a shield made of facts. The next morning, that footage looped through command rooms from Pearl Harbor to the Pentagon. Analysts replayed the near-miss frame by frame, noting how close the two destroyers had come. "One more knot," one officer said, "and this would have gone kinetic." For the Navy, the incident wasn't just a brush with danger, it was a reminder that gray zone warfare can be louder than combat. It costs no lives, fires no shots, but still bends the rules of peace. For the sailors, the message was simpler. Hold steady, stay professional, never blink first. Meanwhile, in the Taiwan Strait, civilian shipping continued as if nothing had happened. But every captain who crossed that line now knew how thin the margin truly was. The strait had become a chessboard where every move was both message and risk. From space, two tiny wakes still trailed across the gray water, evidence of control and chaos. and of a world still one wrong turn from crisis. Restraint had held the day, but for how long? When control becomes routine, danger hides in confidence. The next encounter could arrive without warning, and next time, it might not end in silence. If you were watching from that bridge, what would you have done? Press 1 if you stand with calm precision. Press 9 if you believe it's time to push back. 18 October 2025, dawn leaks over the western Pacific. High above the seam of typhoon-scoured clouds, an MQ-4C Triton glides on wide white wings, its SAR and AIS collectors knitting a map from whispers. The feed rides laser-tight links to a carrier strike group on silent MCON. Along the 9- frontier, wakes cross like scratches on glass. On the Triton's console, icons bud and multiply. Deck crews on planned carriers, Fujian and Shandong spot jets to the waist. Renhai and Luyang III escorts pivot into a screen. A small, cool voice tags the pattern. Flight ops plus heavy pickets probable demonstration. Deterrence by theater, not by shot. Aboard the flagship, the order is clean. Task Force Viper, find, fix, and hold. We finish only if forced. EA-18G Growlers lift to sanitize the spectrum. Pate Ampere's Poseidon's net sonobuoys into a shimmering wall, and E-2D turns like a patient clock. Below, a Virginia-class boat listens, and the ocean holds its breath. For months, satellites and sub-launch drones had traced the slow tightening of China's blue water posture. The Fujian's electromagnetic catapults were no longer for trials. Her deck shimmered with live ordnance, while Shandong played shadow and foil. Opposite, Arleigh Burke destroyers set spy arrays to low probability of intercept, their cones meshing into a lattice of watchfulness. The air itself seemed braided, radar paints, noise barrages from EA-18G Growlers, and discreet deception bursts that billowed into a digital fog of war. Washington's directive was austere. Deter, don't ignite. The find, fix, finish kill web must prove it can hold a fight at arm's length finish without firing, by making any first shot obviously losing. Every ping, handshake, and spoof carried policy on its back. In the operations room, officers read spectral plots like auguries. A blip blooms, fades, reappears. A bearing line seems to lean toward fate. A Pate Ampere's Poseidon stitched sonobuoys into a quiet fence. An MQ-4C Triton pushed wide SAR sweeps over merchant lanes, scrubbing civilian tracks from phantom ones. Far above, an E-2D Hawkeye cycled picture calls, balancing clarity against MCON. To the east, a B-1 waited with El Razum in cold racks. Farther out, a B-52 orbited to telegraph resolve. Below the thermocline, a Virginia-class submarine shadowed the carrier screen, Max 48 hushed and ready. On the Chinese side, Type 055 Renhai cruisers blinked fire control just long enough to whisper a threat, while Type 52D destroyers stretched the A2 divided by AD umbrella to the horizon. Two doctrines, two ladders of escalation, one slip from miscalculation. Deterrence depends on narrative. Who looks disciplined? Who looks cornered? Tonight, both stories are being written in electrons. If you held command right now, would you stand down or strike first? Press 1 to hold the line or 9 to take the shot. The first contact came not with a missile, but with a ping. A single sharp acoustic pulse rolled through the Philippine basin, caught by a Pate Ampere's Poseidon's buoy grid. Analysts leaned forward. It wasn't civilian. Pattern matched to a Type 93 Ampere's Shang-class submarine, 60 miles off the Arleigh Burke starboard flank. Within seconds, USS North Dakota, a Virginia-class hunter, adjusted trim and drifted into firing geometry, her hull creaking softly like a predator inhaling. Above, E-2D Hawkeye operators watched radar ghosts bloom and fade spoofed tracks, false signatures weaving through the atmosphere. EA-18G Growlers clawed at the spectrum, flooding enemy bands with static, their ALQ pods shrieking in visible storms. Yet amidst the noise, one clear thread emerged. Fujian had launched her first combat air patrol 4 J-35 stealth fighters, rising fast, fanning east to shadow the U.S. task force. F-35C from USS Ronald Reagan leapt skyward to intercept, contrails folding into mist as they entered the same radar shadow that hid their adversaries. Inside their helmets, pilots saw the world dissolve into sensor glyphs and phantom targets. Every blip might be real or bait. In the deep, North Dakota's fire control officer whispered through the dark, 2-1, ready. 2 MiG-48 ADCAP armed silently. At the same instant, the Shang below fired countermeasures, a cloud of decoys bursting like underwater flares. Both torpedoes lost lock a kill, denied by physics and fear. Then, the first non-kinetic strike hit. A Chinese cyber intrusion slipped through a relay drone, scrambling ISR data for 8 seconds. Just 8 seconds, but over 1,000 miles of ocean. That meant blindness. In those moments, a Renhai-class cruiser shifted course undetected, her fire control radar sliding into optimal range. In the command center, the tension was tangible, an electric stillness. The fine fix-finish architecture trembled on the edge of escalation. One misread blip, one nervous trigger, could turn the Pacific into a flashpoint. Beneath the dim lights, someone muttered, "This is how wars start, not with noise, but with silence." Night rolled across the South China Sea, like ink spilling from a wound. The fleets drifted in deliberate silence, each pretending not to see the other. But the sea told the truth. Radar wakes rippled across it, invisible to eyes but naked to sensors. The Fujian's deck lights dimmed. Her J-35 returned low on fuel. In response, USS Ronald Reagan launched a replacement Cap F-35C, ghosting into the humid dark weapons, saved, but ready. Within the Arleigh Burke's Combat Information Center, voices murmured over the low hum of data. Renhai shifting bearing 085. Looks like she's probing. A pause. She's painting us with surface search radar. The decision tree was razor thin. Respond and risk escalation, or stay silent and risk blindness. Every officer knew that deterrence sometimes meant not flinching, but nerves have limits. To the north, an EA-18G Growler caught a spike in the spectrum, a directed jamming pulse targeting the fleet's uplink. Seconds later, satellite comms flickered, and the kill web fractured like glass. For 20 heartbeats, the U.S. task force fought blind, until E-2D Hawkeye re-established partial control with a high-frequency relay. Relief washed through the crew, cold and brief. Underwater, USS North Dakota shadowed the Shang-class sub again, this time within torpedo range. The fire control screen pulsed red, perfect solution. Yet the command never came. Strategic restraint froze the hunter. Somewhere above, both nations' leaders watched through encrypted feeds, each praying the other would blink first. On the horizon, a Type 52D flared its illuminators, then snapped dark. Minutes later, decoy drones rose from a plan deck, spoofing missile profiles to trigger a mistake. The Arleigh Burke held fire, but shifted its Tomahawk Block 5 cells to retargetable standby. A silent confession that patience has edges. A paint amperes pushed low, scattering fresh sonobuoys. The ocean answered with a choir of false returns. Even the weather felt partisan squalls carving corridors where radar couldn't breathe. The Pacific was now a mirror, reflecting restraint and fear in equal measure. The smallest ripple could shatter it. If this tension snapped tonight, whose resolve would you trust more, the American steel or the Chinese will? Press 1 for U.S. dominance, or 9 for plan endurance. At 2:14 local time, silence broke not with gunfire, but with light. A distant flare rose from the western horizon, blooming white and unreal. For a moment, both fleets froze. Then sensors caught the truth. An explosion aboard a neutral cargo vessel, flagged from the Philippines, drifting near the contested zone. The blast signature matched no known weapon, not plan, not US, Navy. Confusion spread like contagion. Fujian CIC reported radar locks on Phantom missiles. USS Ronald Reagan's defense grid auto-tracked non-existent threats. Somewhere in the digital fog, someone or something had slipped a ghost into both systems. An EA-18G Growler attempted to trace the interference, but its own feed was hijacked mid-flight, sending corrupted telemetry back to the carrier. On board the Arleigh Burke, commanders debated. Was this a cyber attack, a false flag, or the first strike of an unseen hand? The wrong conclusion could set the sky on fire. In Beijing and Washington, hotlines blinked open, but connection stability fell to noise. Both sides transmitted the same directive: no first strike, unless confirmed hostile intent. Yet intent had become impossible to read. As dawn leaped across the sea, the flare smoke still lingered, twisting above the horizon like an unanswered question. Beneath it, two fleets stared through fog and silence, each seeing only its reflection in the other. Minutes later, a 8 amperes Poseidon dipped to photograph debris. Preliminary chem readouts hinted at improvised oxidizers, the kind that blur lines between accident and bait. The E2D triangulated a low-power LPI emitter, hopping across bands from an oceanographic research ship with its AIS recently spoofed. An unseen third actor, or a shadow within one of the fleets, had reached into the chessboard and moved a piece no one admitted owning. The first missile lock came at dawn. It wasn't fired, not yet, but every screen in USS Ronald Reagan's CIC bloomed red. Fujian's fire control radar had illuminated a US 8 amperes Poseidon still circling the debris field. The order went out instantly: evasive maneuvers, maintain IMCON, do not engage. But the Poseidon sensors saw something else: a radar spike from the Renhai-class cruiser, tracking not the aircraft, but the carrier itself. In seconds, the E-2D Hawkeye confirmed missile tubes opening. The line between threat and intent finally vanished. EA-18G growlers leapt into the sky, jamming the airwaves like thunder made of math. F-35C locked onto their Chinese counterparts, invisible to each other yet sharing the same killing ground. Down below, the Virginia-class submarine North Dakota received a burst transmission, encrypted coordinates, authorization pending. Inside the control room, the captain's hand hovered over the key. "Confirm hostile intent," came the voice from command. Static. Then silence. Suddenly, the Fujian's radar blinked offline, not by choice. A pinpoint cyberstrike had severed her link to the fleet. For 30 seconds, both sides' data streams desynchronized. To each, the other appeared to fire first. Warning klaxons screamed aboard Arleigh Burke, while over the horizon, the Type 52D launched flares that looked to every sensor like outbound missiles. In the chaos, one F-35C pilot squeezed his trigger halfway, pausing in the same heartbeat that a J-35 pilot did the same. Two enemies, unseen, both holding fire by an instinct older than war. The radar screen steadied. No missile had truly flown. And in that fragile stillness, every captain, every operator realized how close they'd come. A single packet, a single pixel from catastrophe. Below the thermocline, North Dakota rolled to firing depth, tubes flooded, heaters on, a breath from release. On the surface, Arleigh Burke's VLS lids rattled in sea spray, and far to the east, a B-1 slid onto a standoff line as squalls gnawed the horizon, history tightening its knot. The Pacific exhaled, but no one dared to call it peace. If you were in that cockpit, would you have held the shot or pulled the trigger? Press 1 to hold fire, or 9 to strike first. The dawn after nearly looked too calm to be real. The South China Sea stretched glass flat, hiding the chaos that had nearly swallowed it hours before. On board USS Ronald Reagan, the smell of burnt circuitry lingered, the ghost of the cyber war that never fully ended. Crewmen moved quietly, their faces pale in the light of screens now filled with harmless static. No one spoke of victory. Across the horizon, the Fujian drifted in silence, her decks scarred by the system reboot that had left her blind and vulnerable. From Beijing came a message marked "Routine Navigation Report." Washington replied with one that said almost the same. Both sides pretended nothing had happened, as if pretending could keep the world from asking questions. The 8 amperes Poseidon returned with its images: fragments of hull, twisted steel, and the faded insignia of the research vessel. Intelligence analysts argued third-party interference or staged deception. No one could prove either. What mattered was what didn't happen. No missile had flown, no sailor had died. And yet the world's balance had tilted just a degree closer to the edge. Hours later, USS North Dakota surfaced briefly to recharge. Its crew looked toward the sunrise, faces expressionless. Above them, E-2D Hawkeye still circled, painting a sky too fragile for war. In the situation rooms of both nations, silence returned the kind that meant only one thing. Deterrence had worked, for now. But every admiral, every strategist knew that silence doesn't last. It waits. It watches. As the camera pulls away from the calm sea, the narration fades. Peace isn't the absence of war, it's the pause between reloads. Somewhere, a buoy kept blinking, a metronome for nerves that would not sleep. If you believe this fragile peace can last, press 1. If you think the next spark is already lit beneath the waves, press 9.